Hey, what's up, Sawstrong Anglers? This is Pat, and in this video I want to talk to you about the one type of rod that I think everybody should own, and that is going to be a three-piece travel rod. And there's a couple different reasons why I think everybody should own one of these rods. The first one being the fact that it gives you a lot more ability to be able to fish. Now, this particular rod is a Daiwa Ardito. It's a three-piece travel rod. I've had this rod for a number of years. I probably had it 4 or 5 years, and this whole time it's been behind the seat of my truck. And my old job, I used to travel around all over the state of Florida, and I always kept this rod with me. And because of this rod, I was able to catch a lot of fish. Matter of fact, I was able to catch my first peacock bass down in West Palm Beach. I've caught redfish up in the Panhandle. I've caught flounder. I've caught trout everywhere. I've even caught largemouth bass. Stopped in a traffic jam and the highway was shut down. So I just got out, found a little retention pond that was next to me, did some fishing while they were clearing up the highway, and was able to get on some fish. Instead of sitting in your hotel room watching SportsCenter on ESPN, I can't tell you how many times I've taken a rod like this out there and been able to get on some fish and, you know, enjoy myself instead of wasting some time watching TV. Now, another thing that these rods are good for is they're great backup rods, either for you if you're having an issue with one of your main rods, or you might break one or something like that. These are nice quality rods. I know some of you might be thinking, well, if that's a three-piece rod, I've heard multi-piece rods are not that good. Well, that's true and not true at the same time. If you're comparing this to, say, a $25 rod that you're going to be buying from one of the box stores, those are probably not going to be good rods. But because this is a Daiwa Ardito, it's a great rod. Also the TFOs, the St. Croix, the travel rods, all these great rod manufacturers are making travel rods, and they're not what you think. The technology that they use is way better than you would at an entry-level rod. The ferrules that they use, the type of design that they use, this actually has the same type of consistent bend that a one-piece rod. Matter of fact, if I was to put this together and put it in your hands and let you fish with it, you would not be able to tell that this is a multi-piece rod. It fishes just like a one-piece rod, it bends just like a one-piece rod, it casts like a one-piece rod, and it fights fish like a one-piece rod, and you can't tell the difference. So don't think just because it's a multi-piece rod that it's not going to be a good one. These are great rods. So it's a great backup rod, and it's also a great rod to give it to some people that may be coming along in your boat that might not have their own equipment. This is one of those ones that you can give to them. I want to go ahead and give you some quick features of the rod to give you an idea of the quality of the build of this. First thing, it is, it's a carbon fiber graphite rod, just like any other quality rod that's out there. This particular one is a 7'6" It's a medium light. Now, we carry the mediums at our SaltStrong page, but I had actually bought this way before we actually started carrying these at fishstrong.com. So it's the medium light version. It works great, but if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would get the medium. But the build is exactly the same. Now, what they have is they have a V-Flex ferrule in there, and what that is that's the piece where this is put together, where the rods are assembled together. And the way that it is designed, a lot of your cheaper rods, what'll happen is they'll have, all this, the end of the one piece will be flared like this, and the end of the other piece will be flared, and when they butt together, they'll actually touch. It doesn't allow the rod to bend consistently. With this one, it has a gap in between those two flared ends, so that graphite blank has a consistent bend all the way through. Matter of fact, you can tell how easy this is to take apart. It actually goes together and comes apart quite easily. So when you go to put this together, all you have to do is just push it on there, and then that's it. You don't have to put a lot of force. You don't have to do anything. Because the tolerances with these quality rods are so much tighter, you don't have to sit there and fight and fuss and force these pieces together. They go together, they're going to stay together, and most importantly, because you didn't have to put them together with force, you don't have to use force to take them apart. They will come apart rather easily. And the other components, the rod seats, the handles, the guides, these are all consistent with nicer rods. It's got aluminum oxide guides on it, so it's braid friendly. It's got the type of reel seat on there that you're actually touching the reel seat, so that's quality, just like you're going to find in any of your other type of quality rods. So don't think just because it's a multi-piece rod, it's not a good quality rod. That's just not true. It's a great quality rod. Now, with the Daiwa Ardito, the case that it comes with is a nylon case. It's not a hard PVC case or plastic case, but I like the nylon case because of the fact that it's rigid enough to give you the protection that you need, but it also has a little bit of flexibility if you need to compress that to put it in some luggage, maybe get into your your trunk or some tight places, but still also has that protection that your rod needs. So it's nice, it works really well. Now, as far as what reels to use when it comes to this, use any reels that you're going to be using for the situation that it calls for. Because I do a lot of inshore fishing, I typically use either a 2500 or a 3000 size. This happens to be a 3000 size Daiwa Fuego, and if you notice, it is red and black, and the rod is red and black also, so they go together. It's a really nice pairing. Now, if you're not worried about being all matchy-matchy, you can go with the Daiwa Legalis, which is a step down from the Fuego. It's blue, so it might not match, you know, the rod perfectly, but if you're not worried about that kind of stuff, it's perfectly fine. The Legalis is a great reel. It'll work perfectly fine for you. Now, this one is the Daiwa Ardito travel rod, like I said before. This is a really nice setup, but if you're willing to step up and have a real nice setup, we do have the TFO travel rod, which is basically the TFO Tactical that's now in a multi-piece. That's a really, really nice setup, and you know, that's as good as any of your daily use rods that you're going to use, but you still have the ability to break it down and carry it with you wherever you go. Whether that be on a cruise ship like I did, or even on an airplane, you can carry that on aboard with you, and that way you're never that far away from a nice quality rod. Now, we do have travel rods available at fishstrong.com. We do have the TFO, and we also have this Daiwa Ardito. So do yourself a favor, go check it out. Again, that's fishstrong.com, and insiders do receive an extra discount when it comes to purchases at fishstrong.com. Now, I know a lot of people do use travel rods. I like mine. I keep mine in the truck, and I'd like to know what your setup is. Do you like the Daiwa Ardito? Have you been using that one? Have you used the TFO? Have you used the St. Croix, the Toadfish? I'd love to hear your stories. Go ahead and put those down below, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about them. If you're new to Salt Strong and you haven't heard of us before, just to let you know, we are an organization that will help you catch more fish faster in less time. We specialize in inshore fish like redfish, snook, trout, and flounder. So if you're wanting to catch more of those fish in less time, go ahead and check us out at saltstrong.com, where we can give you all the information that you need to become a more successful inshore angler. And as always, I really appreciate you watching. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.